I'm Kendra Cook, your host for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado. It's brought to you by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association. That's the special district association responsible for bringing the area free to access TV stations over the air by antenna, just like this one. This is a community TV station. If there's a news story or event information that you would like to share, call us at 970-677-4119 and leave me a message or email me at dcbnnews@gmail.com. And if you're a business or organization or an individual, we welcome you to find out more about sponsorship opportunities for banners or video segments on the channel. This is the Thursday program for March 4th, 2021. As they say, may the 4th be with you. That's a Star Wars reference. Or, of course, go March 4th and have a great day. And now, DCTV Daily News. As the Democratic federal administration has not been shy about, they are mostly opposed to citizens having guns. No secret about it. For the most part, opposition to the National Rifle Association and all things guns for the populace has been spoken about and promised that they would deal with it should they have the political power. And power they do have on many levels, all the way down to the Colorado state. What does this mean to you? The Denver Channel brought up the state legislation that is currently under review and consideration for a vote to change your gun rights here in Colorado. The first topic on guns is storage at home. They report that gun owners in Colorado could soon be required to securely lock up their firearms at home if a new bill becomes law. As State Representative Monica Duran, Democrat from Wheat Ridge, sees it, gun locks just make sense. Quote, "This is about accident prevention," Duran said. And this is about saving lives. She and Representative Kyle Mullica, Democrat from North Glen, are introducing a new bill that, if passed, would require gun owners in Colorado to lock up their weapons at home. Yes, overreaching government wants to regulate what you do in the privacy of your own home for your own sake. And there's no evidence or data indicating that responsible gun owners aren't already keeping their firearms in storage or locked positions. However, if an invading criminal breaks into your home, how much of a disadvantage is it to the homeowner/gun owner to protect their family when a gun lock needs to be opened? The article also points out a quote from the opposition, quote, "This bill is an egregious violation of our constitutional rights," said Greg Trout at a committee hearing at the Colorado State Capitol this past week. "It would give criminals an advantage when breaking into our homes and businesses. It gives them critical time to break through the door and perpetrate that crime. Certainly no one from either political camp wants any innocent people, children or otherwise, to be injured or killed accidentally. The greater concern on storage regulations is that it becomes a step towards further regulations or the possibility of making guns illegal or too expensive through registration and fees to remove the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. This topic will continue to be debated as we continue through these next 4 years. And now, let's take a look at our local weather. Well, today we woke up to a little bit of rain and some light little skiffs of snow on the ground, but nowhere near an inch of snow as predicted. Today there is a slight chance of snow showers, but mostly cleared out. Then a slight chance of rain in the afternoon, mostly cloudy and a high near 42 degrees with southwest winds at 10 to 15 miles an hour becoming northwest in the afternoon. Again, no appreciable accumulation of snow expected. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 26 degrees with north-northeast winds around 10 miles an hour. That might make it feel a bit colder, especially with the humidity levels remaining high. For Friday, sunny and a high near 52 degrees with north-northeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour, shifting south-southwest in the afternoon. For Friday night, mostly clear and a low around 30 degrees, southeast winds at 5 to 15 miles an hour. For Saturday, partly sunny and a high near 52 degrees. Breezy with a south-southeast wind at 15 to 20 miles an hour with gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. For Saturday night, mostly clear, a low around 31 degrees. For Sunday, sunny again with a high near 56. Sunday night, mostly cloudy and a low around 36. And into next week, Monday, partly sunny and a high near 56 and breezy. Monday night, partly cloudy and a low around 34. And Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 46. Again, breezy. Tuesday night, partly cloudy and a low around 25. And now, back to our news. Marijuana regulations continue to change across the country from state to state. Our friends to the south in New Mexico are addressing such options. As the Durango Herald reported on the latest updates, the New Mexico legislature is looking at legalizing marijuana for recreational use through a bill that was recently passed by 2 House committees, but some local businesses between Farmington and Durango have reservations, as does local law enforcement. The bill, sponsored by Representatives Javier Martinez, Andrea Romero, and Deborah A. Armstrong, passed the House Health and Human Services Committee on February 15th and passed the House of Taxation and Revenue Committee. Armstrong said that the next step for the bill will be for it to go to the House floor for a vote, and if passed, it will go on to the Senate and must pass by the end of the legislative session, which is March 20th, or the bill will die. If passed and sent to the governor for her signature, then the bill would go into effect on June 18th, Armstrong said. While the idea of legalization might appeal to some, there are some cons to consider. Farmington Police Department spokeswoman Nicole Brown said that the department's #1 concern would be an increase in drugged driving and, quote, more deaths and injuries as a result. Jason Little, owner of New Mexico Alternative Care, a medical marijuana dispensary in Farmington, said he's not sure New Mexico is ready for recreational pot. Quote, I'm not opposed to recreational, but there has to be more education about marijuana, Little said. When Colorado legalized marijuana back in 2012, almost 10 years ago, there was about a 35% drop in sales, he said, but now the tables might turn. Little said that about 50 to 60% of businesses for Colorado comes from New Mexican purchasers. William Koenig, assistant manager of the Greenhouse in Durango, also said he sees a lot of customers from New Mexico. Quote, I see a bunch of New Mexico IDs coming in, whether they are already here in the area or you know. Koenig trailed off, implying customers might come to the area just to buy pot and take it back to New Mexico. Quote, especially with us being in the Four Corners area, we tend to be a pretty close place for New Mexico customers. Koenig said that he thinks legalization in New Mexico could affect sales in Colorado. In the short term, quote, maybe not so much, because what I'm hearing from New Mexico customers is that bud standard down there in New Mexico is not to Colorado level yet, he said. But once New Mexico gets their standard leveled out among everyone who has been legalized, then it could definitely be a big player. What Koenig said he meant by standard was the testing and quality of the marijuana plants, including the limited use of pesticides, which in Colorado is very important. Little in Farmington boasts that his operation has used strict testing measures before the state required them. One of Jason Little's plants at his Farmington medical marijuana facility, as shown here, and the photos are from Jerry McBride from the Durango Herald. One of this man's biggest concerns about the state going fully legal is for health and human safety. He said there's not enough education for individual growers, and while he said there have been 0 deaths related to marijuana consumption, he worries that individual growers might use different pesticides that, if smoked and inhaled, could pose health problems. On the business end, Little sees a future with a bit lighter wallet. I expect recreational legalization to drastically hurt the medical market, he said. I think a lot of the patients will stay patients, but there will be a large percentage who probably will not renew medical cards because they don't want to do the doctor's visit and the medical evaluation and pay the money, which is $100 a year, to your doctor or whatever it may be. I think there will be a high percentage of fallout. Still, Little sees that the positives of going fully legal for those who have been waiting for this for so long, because the bill might change between now and passing. The tax revenue is not yet known. However, Little said that without the revenue from recreational legalization, the state, quote, won't make it financially. Little added that he believes crime rates will go down. Cannabis will push more and more people to a spiritual living instead of a religious living, in that they will become more in tune with themselves and the earth, he said. The biggest pro to going full legal, he said, is freedom. We're getting our freedom back to be able to do what we want as a human being, he said. We kill ourselves with alcohol and pharmaceuticals every damn day, but we can't smoke weed. We're getting our freedom back that the government initially stole from us. And with the news being as difficult to navigate as it is these days, let's give you another bit of a forecast for what's on tap for 2021. On a strangesounds.com website, they report on the Brood X, providing a good resource for this report. So while the rest of the world is battling biblical locust plagues, in case you weren't aware of that, it's wreaking havoc on places like India and their food chain. Something called Brood X will unleash billions of cicadas in the U.S. in 2021. Are you ready for these billions of big, incredibly loud cicadas? They write, cicadas emerge from the ground in the eastern United States every year. I know, I've lived there and it's part of life. But then once every 17 years, a truly out-of-this-world phenomenon called Brood X takes place, bringing, quote, a massive brood of cicadas in the mid-Atlantic and Midwest, filling the air with a deafening mating hum that can reach up to 100 decibels. Now, to give you an idea of reference, most sounds top out below 60 decibels, so it's really, really loud. Also known as the, quote, Great Eastern Brood, this insect infestation is set to return in May of 2021 for about a month or so. Brood X, X meaning 10, is the name for the big generation of cicadas due in the spring of 21, just as happened in 04 and 1987. The coming Brood 10 is the most widespread and prolific of the known generations. Through history, it has appeared as far as the west into Missouri, that's pretty close, as far as south as Georgia and as far north as Michigan and as far east as Long Island, New York. For 2021, I wouldn't put any location out of the running. Scientific studies on cicadas have shown that if the temperatures linger too long below 68 degrees, it gets too cold for the cicadas to mate and survive. Then, to survive cold summers, they stay underground. Moreover, the less often cicadas emerge from the earth, the lower their odds of being wiped out by unusually cold summers. It's unknown exactly why the pattern occurs at that 17-year interval, but scientists have a few theories. The unusual prime-numbered life cycle prevents generations of cicadas from run-ins with the life cycles of wasps that prey on them. Or prime-numbered cycles reduce the likelihood that 17-year cicadas will mate and hybridize with cicadas of different species or generations. Whatever the case, they are also destructive, not to the food sources that humans need, but they can be a threat for young trees. So don't plant any fruit trees around your house next spring if you're in those areas, because these types of trees are going to simply get hammered next year when those cicadas show up, said University of Maryland entomologist Mike Raup. And if you've recently planted a tree like in 2020, it's not too late to save it from the coming swarm. Cover your young trees with fine netting, net sizes of less than a centimeter, by the middle of or end of April, they say. This will keep the cicadas from laying their eggs in the branches they come in contact with. Brood X will die off after mating and laying eggs in the branches of the trees. The cicadas then hatch in 21 and will drop to the ground and burrow into the earth for another 17 years. There, they'll feed on the fluids in the tree's roots until they emerge to breed in May of 2038. And let's keep hoping that frogs don't start dropping out of the sky either. And today's High Canyon Country happenings. We have more info on the notice we reported on yesterday. The Dolores County Public Health is having a, quote, mass vaccination clinic on Friday, March 5th, with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. They say, please call us if you qualify for phase 1B3 and would like the vaccine. Their number here is 970-677-2387. The new phase will begin March 5th. To sign up for the next phase, you can also email dcphcovid@gmail.com. Please leave your name, date of birth, phone number, and the phase you're in. You may also fill out a fillable form on the Dolores County webpage. Still available to all of the prior phases, plus people aged 60 and older, frontline essential agricultural and grocery store workers, and people aged 16 to 59 with 2 or more high-risk conditions. People aged 60 and older, that's pretty obvious. Frontline essential workers in grocery and agricultural. The intent of this classification is to prioritize current workers who cannot maintain physical distance from others at their place of employment, who work in close contact with many people, especially indoors, and in places with poor ventilation, including meatpacking workers, grocery store workers, and agricultural processing workers. Might apply more to the Denver area. People aged 16 to 59 with 2 or more of the following: cancer, defined as patients who are currently receiving treatment or have received treatment within the last month for cancer; chronic kidney disease, COPD, diabetes mellitus types 1 and 2, Down syndrome, specific heart conditions such as heart failure, cardiomyopathies or coronary heart disease, and severe valvular congenital heart disease. For obesity, BMI of 30 or more, pregnancy, sickle cell disease, solid organ transplants, individuals with disabilities who require direct care in their home, and people with disabilities that prevent them from wearing masks. And you have time to do some research on the differences of the various vaccines available and whether or not it's right for you or if you are in one of the qualifying classes as listed. CBS News stated recently that the Johnson & Johnson's single-dose vaccine protects against COVID-19, according to an analysis by U.S. regulators, at around between 60-something to 70%. They continued, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration scientists confirmed that overall it's about 66% effective at preventing moderate to severe COVID-19. The agency also said J&J shot, one that could help speed vaccinations by requiring just one dose instead of two, is safe to use. Furthermore, all of the world's COVID-19 vaccines have been tested differently, making comparisons nearly impossible. They write Fact Check online, stating that unlike the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna vaccines, which use an mRNA design, please look that up as to what that does to your DNA, and the Johnson & Johnson shot uses an adenovirus, a type of virus that typically causes the common cold, modified with the genetic material for SARS-CoV-2 to trigger an immune response. Simply be aware of what reports are out there and do your own fact-checking and research before taking any vaccine, as is your responsibility before Project COVID-19 and after. It's your body, your choice, they say. Choose well and be safe. And to catch the program online, visit our Facebook page, which is DCTV Daily News, or also on YouTube. Both you can follow or subscribe to easily and join in on the conversation. This is your local community TV station. So if you have something you'd like to share, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call 970-677-4119. Thanks for tuning in to DCTV Daily News. If you like the program, please do like and follow us on Facebook and share it with your friends and family. This has been a production of DCTV for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado, USA. I'm Kendra Cook. Be well and keep thinking for yourself.